So welcome to SaaS on the Street Season 2, Episode 1 with Ken Brickley in the house. Welcome, Ken.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's great to have you here. It looks like the stream is working to LinkedIn, which is fantastic. Yesterday's promo didn't make it on there.
How about that?
All my redirect messages I don't have to send right now. So I described you as the person who puts success into customer success. And I know I am glamorizing because you have a founder, you have a whole team, and it's a massive effort. But just take a little credit for a moment, because what your story, the story you told me yesterday, I woke up thinking about it when I was making my coffee this morning. And I was like, okay, so COVID hits, everybody who's a fitness instructor who you're selling, you're helping them sell meal plans, you're helping them basically run their business through a technology SaaS solution, and more than just meal plans, fitness plans and all the rest, and classes. Yeah. And that all turns to custard. So we unpacked that in the promo yesterday. And then you found this one guy in LA whose business is booming. And so
there's a few. There are a few, but it was looking at the metrics. Like, we've never seen that if we're not like systematically going through using that SaaS quick ratio and seeing who's growing and who's shrinking. And when we could see a few people that were really growing, and it's like, well, let's unpack that. Why are they growing? And of course, it's in our best interest, because our business model, we only make money when our clients make money. So it's fully in our best interest to ring the alarm bell and try and get everybody else, swimming in the direction of success. And so that's what we did. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I think the thought occurred to me is if you're looking at your customer's success, which is like you're looking through the people who are your clients into who are they serving. And some of these are big players, you said yesterday, like 8,000 clients, not
some of them are 10, 12, 13,000 clients at any one time. Yeah. So you're helping them really scale and get that reach and serve all those people. And how did you set it up in such a way that you could even know where to look to find the information, to find the leading indicators that showed you that not everybody's in the same boat? Because obviously that's terrifying when you think you're slightly immune because you got a SaaS offering, and then it all starts falling off a cliff. Yeah.
What prep had you done? Where had you come from to have that approach?
That's actually a really good question. We were, I suppose it's a lesson in get really smart people on your team, rewind the clock maybe 2 or 3 years ago. John, the founder, and I started spending a lot more time answering the question who rather than how. And it's like, okay, who are we going to have on our team that knows numbers cold? Who are we going to have on our team who, is outstanding at customer experience and so forth? And we really started recruiting, even though we couldn't afford them. And so it was like, okay, well, maybe we could get a CFO for like 1 day a week or 2 days a week, or maybe we could get somebody for 3 or 4 days a week, and when you start recruiting like way outside of your league, so to speak, at the time, this was several years ago, what happened was we started finding people that really identified with and loved what we were doing, and maybe like didn't want to work 5 days a week, so it was a perfect match, and so when the stock market crashed that Friday before the long weekend, that was basically the beginning of COVID hitting the news. We had a CFO on our team, John Fernandez, ex New Zealand Stock Exchange. Guy knows his numbers, and we just called on all hands. Our management team started looking at okay, something's going to go wrong. What could go wrong? Right now it looks like everything's going hunky dory because cash is still coming in every day. But let's try and predict what's going to go wrong. And it was just sort of asking the questions. Well, why are we still everything looking good? It shouldn't, and really unpacking the numbers and seeing cancellations on first just an ad hoc basis. Let's just double tap into a single client. Okay, let's go into another client. Let's go into, actually, let's look at our the 80-20 rule. Let's look at the top 20% of our clients that are doing the best. And we started seeing cancellations come in, but again, their revenue was looking good. And that's when John, I believe it was John that first said, let's look at the SaaS quick ratio, and that's when we started. And by the way, I've got a great hack for everybody watching.
Great.
There's a software that I recommend so wholeheartedly. It is called profitwell.com.
Yeah.
And
Patrick Campbell.
It is a free piece of software. You can download this, plug it into your Stripe or whatever, platform you use to process payments, and they will suck all of your transactions out and arrange it in a beautiful, graphs and all. It can be overkill, but there's really only one number that I look at in that software. And if you click on growth and you go down to the bottom of the page under growth, you will see something that says SaaS quick ratio, and it will tell you what your SaaS quick ratio is. And if it's greater than 1, you're growing, and if it's less than 1, you're shrinking. And it's pretty much that simple. And then we just started this sounds crazy. We have systems now that do this, but at the time we just started installing on every single client and then going and looking and we would see, okay, this is the SaaS quick ratio. Let's get an Excel spreadsheet together and say on Monday, their SaaS quick ratio was this, and then Tuesday morning we'd come in and go, all right, you're going to log into the next 200 accounts and show me, what our top 20% are looking like on Tuesday. And if we could see that SaaS quick ratio worsening or improving, then we that's basically what we started doing. And we could see that it was worsening day after day. And 10 days after we implemented the change, we could see it day after day improving. It's like, woohoo! We started celebrating after that. But that's sort of where
I have so many questions. Okay, so let's just start. So the SaaS quick ratio, was it? Do you think it was invented by Patrick Campbell and the ProfitWell team, or is it a known thing?
I don't know. To be honest.
Okay, we'll have to ask him.
I have no idea. Right. The first time I saw it was this sort of almost throwaway metric at the bottom of a report from him, but I know it's a quick ratio. I mean, it's I think VCs use it. I mean, it's looking at your growth, your MRR growth divided by your MRR decline, and you want the numerator more than the denominator.
Yeah, but what about your it's It's so obvious. I'm so stupid. So what about? So are we talking about? Are we talking about a moment by moment indicator? Like at any point in the month, you can calculate it.
Yes, and it's really a forward-looking indicator rather than what happened last month, which is why I like that one so much more than, like, a lot of people look at churn rate, for example. Well, churn rate's what happened last month, not what's about to happen, right? And that's these are, for me, I really look at those two. Churn rate's what happened last month. The quick ratio is what's happening right now to contracts that are about to renew, right? It might renew in 28 days, might renew in 10 days, might renew in 90 days. If you do annual plans, you may not feel the ship going into the rocks for another 9 months if you're not looking at that and you have lots of annual plans. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Anyways,
so no, I get it because I'm just looking at something that he's put up here, that it's the new monthly revenue plus the expansion monthly revenue. So how much a client is upgraded, which could have happened any day in the month, right? So how many new clients have signed, how many existing clients have upgraded, and it's dividing that by how much monthly revenue has gone down and how much has churned. So new revenue, expansionary revenue, upgrades and downgrades and churn.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
easier way to think about it is all the growth divided by all the shrinkage.
Yeah. But what I'm hearing you did was that you, instead of running this just at the top level across your business, you then ran it as if each one of your clients was a SaaS business, and you went, what if we treat them as if we're running their business and we do their SaaS quick ratio on their customers that are they're using our SaaS product. They've got revenue coming in, they've got revenue shrinking. What on earth is happening in a microcosm in their business with this SaaS quick ratio that they would have no idea that they could access or run on their business? Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
I think when you look at our business, we have trainers with their own businesses. Obviously, the health of each one of those is sort of normalized. Some are healthier than others, and it sort of normalizes out. When they'll have churn within their businesses, but they'll have lots of new clients come on. And so we sort of look at each trainer as a customer, and obviously we want our trainers to be making more in year 2 than in year 1. And so, like, if a trainer comes on board and then, let's say, leaves for one reason or another, that would be affecting us as a churn. But that happens so rarely, right? So rarely. I mean, we've lost less than one handful of clients in 4 years, 2 of which we fired. We can talk about that later, but sizable amounts of revenue went along with those, but they're for the right reason. But if we look at all of those trainers, what we're trying to do is create negative churn, right? So expansion. So if their businesses are growing month after month, year after year, then the whole thing will operate. I mean, you're basically looking at a business with negative churn.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get to next is just to understand. You said something like, we've moved a long way in the year since we started diving into why are things going okay when they shouldn't be, and oh crap, there's what's going wrong. We found it. We found the thing going wrong. Now how bad is it? Now how are we going to fix it? So you kind of come through all of that. Now a lot of that was longhand investigative work, kind of by the city of pants, going off one metric that provided the insight and then multiplying that out to your customer base. How much have you taken that lesson and applied it into the systems that you run your business through to not only be able to track this ongoingly, but also to be able to reveal it to your customers to have a competitive advantage?
Yeah. I mean, we've basically invested a whole lot of time and money in the last year building essentially like a giant data warehouse. And we are still working on that and still improving it and so forth. And this whole bunch of stuff I can't talk about yet, but really exciting features coming as a result of that. One thing I would share with your audience, and I see it a lot among startups, and how do you get to 7 million run rate? A lot how we did it, and I gotta say, it's to let some fires burn. I see so many. We work with startups in and around Auckland, and I see so many startups just trying to solve all the problems and they trying to build a database reporting this and that, and they're doing all the things that, you need that, but do you need that right now? Like it was okay to let those fires burn until they needed to be extinguished, and it's like, okay, all right, now we're sort of up on top of the water. We're moving a lot faster, way more efficient. Okay, well, now we can afford to hire 3 more people to start building reporting, and analysis, and a data scientist, and that 3 years ago would have put us out of business, I mean, mind you, listen, I suppose that's why people raise capital and so they can hire all of those people on day one. If you're bootstrapping, which we did, it's totally okay to let fires burn. So
you've given us one example of kind of wanting all the kind of reporting and building and belt and braces and data warehousing, and what are some other fires that you see people obsessing over, and why are they obsessing over it, do you think?
I mean, probably the most obvious one, and we see this with our clients as well, is they read a book or they saw a webinar from somebody and they need to build a funnel, or they need to build a funnel with an upsell and a downsell and a sideways sell. And you just can't imagine how elaborate these sales systems can be built out before they make a single dime. You're like, oh my God, like, how about start with a sales page and a credit card page? Like, test it, like, let's go. I mean, I've got a client, one of our clients makes, I don't know, he'll do $4 million this year. His sales funnel is 1 page, right? So it doesn't need to be radical. And so that's yeah, I mean, if you're, you've heard, your audience has all heard this before, but if you're not embarrassed by what is on your public website right now, then you spent too much time on it, because you really should be iterating on it, and I'm embarrassed. Go on my website right now. I'm embarrassed about it, but you know what? It's working, and and we're in the process of iterating on it. Right. And we always will be. And I think we have a saying that John and I have really sort of I can't remember where it first came from. I think it was one of the product managers at Google coined it sort of bird walking, where it's to like launch early, launch often, all the time, as much as you can. And it's I think that's like a super key to success. It's nothing new, but I'm surprised by how many people try and boil the ocean before they make in a dollar.
Yeah, and what is the term bird walking?
Sort of like, very light steps across, the sand, or, like it's not, you're not sort of, you're not putting
right.
You're casting something in the sand. I think Eric Ries from the Lean Startup was one of the first guys that I sort of really expanded on that concept.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Because because when I see your website, maybe I'll put it up.
Oh dear God, here we go.
one of these
coming in a matter of days, but it's always been a couple days.
One of these days, I'm going to buy 2 track pads, so I don't have to get one out of my bag all the time. But the Harvey Norman don't sell grey, space grey. Okay, so it works. Okay, where's my sharing screen gone? It's disappeared. Okay.
I could bring it up on mine if you want to. Oh, maybe not.
Okay, yeah, I'll make you do it. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Hang on a second. You get it ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, you just took it out of the stream. We're naked with no framing.
Let's see.
People are seeing behind the facade. Bit of visual stimulation.
Share.
All right, you ready?
Okay. Are you seeing?
Yeah, it's up.
I see. Oh, we got to take that finalist of the High Tech Awards off. That's a little outdated. We were finalists, did not win, but very proud of it. And our whole reason for being is to scale the impact of the trainers, coaches, instructors, athletes that we work with. So that's sort of that. But yeah, our goal is to help them help more people, right? And look at this. I mean, this is something we whack together. I mean, it's not high tech, but it seems to do the trick, right? So,
yeah, okay. I'm gonna take over so that we don't see everything else you got there. So, one of the things that I notice about your site is that, I want to pick on it because you said you're iterating on it, and it's to illustrate.
It's video unavailable. Jesus, that's pretty bad.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to pick you apart. But no, I wasn't actually pointing at that. But it's almost like you're focusing more on given the story that you told us and what you've spent a year kind of building in the background. It's like you've got customers that you are completely dedicated to, and there's enough word of mouth that you guys are the ones to go with. So you're totally obsessed about your customers and their customers' success, that it's like, I'll get the burning fire. One of the burning fires is, sure, we want to improve the site, but what good is a constant improvement of the site when we've got energy and focus on helping everybody that's with us on this journey? Am I kind of right?
I mean, the website's been burning. It's a burning fire. I mean, behind us is our team in Auckland, New Zealand. this whole outfit here is dedicated to working with our existing trainers, our existing clients. And we have teams in Russia, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Chile, and the UK, who are also all more customer service, outsourced customer service, and engineering, more focused on the core code and enhancements and product management. But this crew behind us they're exceptionally talented, and their focus is on our existing clients. We have 37 people in Auckland. So
wow.
Good team. I think there's probably another 30-ish, 35-ish overseas. Yeah.
It's amazing. What else do you want to share with us about the journey that you think other people can get something from if they're building a SaaS business, whatever size they're in?
I mean, the management hack. I mean, hire people that are it's nothing new, but really try and get the best people that you possibly can get your hands on, even if you can't afford them. Figure out a way to get them on for a few hours a day or a week. I mean, you'd be surprised that somebody with just an extraordinary background in the function that you need them can show up for 4 hours a day and do what takes somebody else 12 hours a day to do, right? They nail it the first time. They've done it. They do it with their eyes closed. Don't underestimate how many potholes you can avoid by doing that. And listen, the faster you go, the more those potholes hurt when you hit them. So, it's like really, you got people on your team that are just easily steering around potholes the faster you go. I mean, it's the best analogy I can use to sort of think about that. Can
you give us some examples of regional? Let's go because everybody right now who wants to expand globally, dominate globally, has to have a geographic strategy for dominating in different markets without flying in, flying out, and they got to be able to do it cost effectively. And you just can't run it all from New Zealand on Zoom. The problem with not being in market is not having eyes and ears on the ground and being able to have drinks and get the sense that some competitors coming up with something new because you heard a whisper from somebody and 3 other people have confirmed it in the last 24 hours. And, you need to change your pricing, or you need to change the offer, or you need to actually put some sales effort in, or get some new brochures, or put a new version of your website up that deals with something or attacks some way that somebody's attacking you. Yeah. So how do you do all those battles? Now it's different because you built pre-COVID, but what's the learnings? I think every sales team globally needs somebody in kind of 3 markets. If you have this is my customer success sales, is someone in the Americas, is someone in the UK, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, somebody in Asia Pacific, and somebody in customer success in those 3 markets. 6 people make it feel like 1,000 people. So what's your take on it? And what's your advice for people who didn't quite get out there and build these teams globally before COVID, and they're sitting there wondering about how to tackle the problems?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it was on 3 continents and 5 countries in 2019, and possibly four. Anyways, I was all over the place, and that was great setting up relationships. I gotta say, it really allowed that to happen.
Is this you personally traveling, or right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
However, that said, they deepened relationships. They opened a lot of other doors that, as you say, wouldn't have otherwise opened. But having said that, let's rewind prior to 2019. Like our first 100 clients were all done. I mean, John and I sold the first 100 clients. John might have sold 10, I sold 90, but just if we're counting. But John,
reveal yourself, John.
Walked in. No, but yeah. Anyways, having said that, all of them were done via Zoom, right? And no one. I mean, you can hear my accents from the States. Cutting my teeth in business in the States, especially in B2B. Nobody has time to drive across town for a meeting. I mean, it's a real Kiwi thing. They want to come in and meet you face to face. Nobody fucking wants to meet you. Dude, I don't have time for this. So pre-COVID, it was all online and via Zoom, and COVID just, I suppose, taught more people how to use Zoom. But all of our sales, apart from maybe a small handful and one handful of clients, were met face to face before coming on board, right? So it's all online. I mean, people expect that. They actually appreciate you saving them time.
Yeah, agreed.
Your question was about multi-continental type of development. For people watching who are in startup phase, whoever your salesperson is, if that's you, the CEO, or you have the luxury to having salespeople already, then suck it up. You're in sales. You got to take calls after hours, early in the morning. It's just a reality. I mean, I was taking calls around the clock for stepping out of dance recitals in order to do a demo, walking back and forth on the steps of a church. I mean, you name it. You're doing whatever you can do to close the deals, and you do it. Now, one way that, as we started growing and I started getting sick of doing 2 a.m. demos, there are two paths you can take. One is to build a funnel, a webinar, automate that. I think when that's nice if you have a lower ticket, but you're charging large setups. I mean, we are a Lamborghini type of solution in our space. We're quite at the high. I believe we're the most expensive in our space, right? So, and for that, we deliver more value than anyone, but people want to talk to you, right? And so I got sick of doing 2 a.m. demos, and so one way that we decided to grow, I know it's like really foreign for new startups, but you can see we have a bit of gray hair. We're a bit older. We went down the route of like Microsoft and HubSpot and Salesforce.com. We started recruiting resellers, and so we couldn't afford to pay someone in London to. I mean, we would, it would be an extremely expensive salary at the time for us. And so we recruited a reseller over there and said, right, we'll split revenue with you if and they became our feet on the street. And then we started repeating that in different geographies. And that allowed us to grow in a very capital efficient manner. And it requires a different set of skills, which is more education. But educating somebody else, teaching somebody else how to fish, then they're off fishing. We've had resellers now that have grown to, very sizable businesses doing nothing other than selling MacroActive. Previously, they might have been an ad agency, boutique ad agency, chasing invoices, trying to, get accounts receivable paid. One of the luxuries of partnering with MacroActive is all of our payments are collected in the cloud, so there's no accounts receivable, right? So our partners now just get paid, and they can deliver services and focus on that. They're not chasing invoices. And if you can find, like our strategy has been, hey, if we can find someone who is really good at what they do and also passionate about the space, maybe they're tired of running ads for the local dentist, and they want to do something that they're, interested in, and where you can sort of bring those worlds together. That suddenly is, in our case, that was a fantastic value proposition that kind of got rid of one of their biggest bugs, was not getting paid. And I think for people watching, it's just sort of, again, that sort of same thing is going to apply in different sort of aspects.
So the ideal partner, is it a great person who can sell a premium product, who can relate to the customer? Is it an organization that's got a whole lot of credibility, has a whole lot of reach, and has a kind of a small army of people that can go and do this? What is it?
Maybe not. Maybe not. You'd be surprised. Might be just one person that believes in you. And this is, for people watching, you're thinking, how do I enter into, the Middle East or into India or into, these different markets? It's like, well, I would 100% of the time take someone smaller who totally believes in your space over someone larger with all kinds of, distribute. They might look great on paper, but that brings with it a whole nother problem, which is mind share. And, you can keep somebody's mind share and they love it and they will scale. They'll really, work for it. Yeah.
If anyone's listening has any comments, questions that they want to ask Ken before the end of our session today, please chip in now. So give me a feel for the ratio of where the sales are coming from, whatever you can or can't say in terms of your competitive position. But are we talking like, where's 80% of the customers and revenue kind of originating? Is it?
Yeah, English speaking countries. Is that pretty broad?
No, I'm talking about people, like, is it the resellers? Is it your own staff? Is it automated sales? Just to get
one of the things. Yeah, I mean, it's predominantly direct, and I've always taken the approach. So I remember when, this is dating myself. My first job was an intern at Microsoft, and my job in the browser wars was to make sure that webmasters put the little E for Internet Explorer at the bottom of their website. And then I was at General Electric on a management program, and as I went around different divisions of General Electric at the time, they were all grappling with, how to bring direct to market into, an online sales in a traditional B2B environment, which was 100% channels. And it was such a pain at the time for these large established companies with channel that, suddenly they were trying to go direct, and, the channel conflict was just, crippling for these large companies. And when I sort of look at Microsoft and Salesforce.com and HubSpot, I really admired HubSpot's and Salesforce.com because they learned from day one that you could have both. You could offer a direct direct a business sale, and you could also have channels, and they're not mutually exclusive. And I think that's something that, while we, most of our sales are direct, we really want to recruit more channel partners to the ecosystem. And the more that we can see from our data scientists what's working, what's not working, what's working today, what used to work but no longer works, and then we share that with our channel, then we give our channel competitive advantage to the other ad agencies in town that might be chasing the same client. And it's like, that's our, that's where we see data really becoming our competitive moat over time.
It's fantastic. Okay, so I partway through that, I looked down, and my son was saying, "Have I bought the 75-inch Samsung frame, which is going to go on my wall behind there?" And I said, "Yes, I have." And okay, so given the stress you're having with your website, I just messaged the world leading user experience tools provider. It's called Optimal Workshop. And you got some UX people there?
A few, but they're all focused on the product, not on our website. Again, let the fires burn.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, can we give you a present for coming on SaaS on the Street? He said, go for it. So this is for your UX proficient people in-house. You have 2 months of free use for the Optimal Workshop user experience tools to basically sort through all the information architecture for your website and for your product. It's used by a few small companies like General Electric and IBM and Uber and Google, and it's based in Wellington. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks to Andrew Mayfield.
We're stoked. We need it.
That's better than a chocolate bar.
I get to put out a fire. That's awesome.
You get to put out a fire with like a sprinkler system. Yeah. Okay, so I'll text you. I'll connect you guys.
I appreciate that very much.
Get you a code. Yeah. So, yeah, I know. I like what you're saying about the whole reseller thing. The problem with I think in the reseller world, I was so surprised when you talked about resellers because I've never been part of a company or seen a company that's smashed it with resellers because. Typically I see competitors using resellers and failing because what you said there about the mind share and just, I've got 500 products to sell and I can't quite remember what I shouldn't say about product 324, whereas your guys
years in the telecom industry has taught us to, John and I both learned a lot selling products through channels and telecom, call center software. My goodness. I mean, there are right ways and wrong ways to do it. And if you if you don't really understand mind share, you will fail miserably.
Yeah.
And also, like, don't chase whales or elephants. I mean, you will starve. Find a small one, someone who believes in you, and that's the way you grow a channel, in my mind, anyways.
Right. But you're not relying on the channel, right? If all your resellers suddenly
Correct.
disappeared, or someone went and bought them all or whatever and said you're not allowed to work with MacroActive, then you're still going to be fine. It's not like you're
Exactly
bread and butter. All right. Well, let's talk about the next piece of the puzzle: premium pricing. And so, should we bring John in?
John, you want to come on in?
Sure.
Listen, one thing we've learned is there's no competitive advantage ever to being the second most expensive or the second most cheapest. You're either the most expensive or you're the least expensive. And
that's a great way of saying it. Great way of saying it.
That is,
hi, John.
Welcome, John.
Hey guys. Nice
to
be here.
This is where it all started, man, right here. Chief.
Yeah. He looks like he focuses more on his health and fitness, and you're taking the calls and you're not working out enough.
Ken's the one doing the sales calls at 2 a.m. in the morning, not me.
Yeah. You're like, no, I need to get up for a run. I don't take a call. So let's hear this is, to me, for SaaS companies, the magic. My friend Gerald, he always says that he gets sick of my stuff because it's like hearing himself in a mirror. So you can't hear yourself in a mirror though, can you? What's the original intent, John? How did it start? What was that moment?
Well, I mean, I won't bore you guys with the long story, but
why not? We're live. Hang on. We're not on TV bloody NZ. We're not going to like soundbite you. We've just been talking about the whole incredible journey. I think you deserve to have as much time as you want to tell us the story. So go for it.
Knock.
Yeah,
unless Ken's got to go off. Unless Ken's got to go off to a call. In fact, while you're doing this, I'll show you how efficient my team in my studio is. My team, aka me, is going to put your caption up. So, what's your last name, John?
Franish. That's F for Freddy, Ranich.
As in the Croatian, or
yeah, you got it.
There we go.
Immigrated from Croatia about 100 years ago.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The floor is yours, and I'll look away. I will look away while I do my stuff in the background to get your name up there.
So, well, basically, Ken and I were working at a digital agency here in Auckland, and a couple of young guys walked in, and he said, I sell meal plans and workout programs online, and I want to automate it so I can scale. And we're going, oh, what do you mean? People pay you to do that? People pay you to tell them what to eat? He goes, yeah, they do. And that was kind of where it started. So we built him a set of software, and I was kind of instantly interested in the whole space because I've always been sort of into exercise, nutrition, and that kind of stuff. So it's a personal sort of passion of my own. And in fact, that's one of the things that works really well in our business is like a lot of our staff, a lot of our resellers, the reason that they get so into it is because they're into exercise, nutrition, or they're into health and wellness. And this is a way for them to combine what they actually enjoy with their work life. So a number of our resellers are big in this space, just personally. And so to do this is like, oh, this is awesome, So that's just an aside. And that's kind of was the same for me when I met Joe. And so we built him a set of software, and then away he went and came back about a year later and said, I need some more stuff. So we sold him a second set. And in the meantime, Ken left to start up another business, and then our employer at the time wasn't paying me, so I left, and so I then basically worked pro bono with Joe for over a year. So I'd go to my day job, and then at night I'd go to my night job with Joe, and helped him get that second set of software delivered, and also helped him grow his business. And then in the meantime, I had a wife and 2 young children at the time, so she was incredibly understanding that I was sort of, putting all this background work in for literally nothing.
It's crazy.
And but it was again, I could see the future, and I could see that this was an awesome business, and I really, really wanted to be part of it. 2014 came, and I quit my job and came and started running Joe's business, and then not long after that, we decided we needed a third set of software. So I said to Joe, well, why don't we just spend 10 times as much and build a platform? And that's kind of where MacroActive started. That was 2014. We launched in December 2015. It was very, again, it was a very soft launch. Joe's business was the only client on the platform when we launched. And we spent the next probably year and a half just really sussing out the software, ironing out the bugs, and getting it to a point where it was smooth. Ken and I reconnected in late 2016, and Ken then came on board in late 2016, early 2017, and then that's when we really started pushing the sales. I think when he came on board, we probably had, I don't know, half a dozen clients. And then Ken came on board, and within, by the end of that year, we had 100 clients. And then we sort of more officially, split the businesses out, and really started putting some effort into this. I mean, we've bootstrapped the whole thing, so we've had no investment to date. And that's sort of probably one of the reasons why our growth hasn't been as fast as what it could have been. But in saying that, we've learned a lot of lessons along the way. We've been able to make our own decisions. So that's been hugely valuable. And then it got to the point probably 2 or 3 years ago where we kind of learned that, who, not how. So who does the job rather than how do we do it? Because, we were typical startup guys. We just do everything, It's like, I remember I remember one day where I was in the office, and I'd onboarded all of our clients, and it's quite a tedious job, and it's not easy, at that time. And I just lost it. I literally lost it, threw my toys out of the cot, and
as he's going, screaming, I'm literally typing the job spec on Seek to hire. I'm like, well, we need to hire somebody.
Honestly, I completely lost it. It's actually embarrassing to think back on it, but
it's great.
But one of the things was, and then we didn't think we could afford more staff, but actually we got these people in, and next thing's like, oh, actually that went really well. And sort of from that point on, it's just like, well, every time we had a roadblock, I mean, hey, there's still a lot of stuff we have to do ourselves, but we then got our CFO, and we got him in day and a half a week, because that's what we could afford. Yeah. We got our chief customer officer in 3 days a week, because that's what we could afford, and she's now with us 4 days a week. You know what I mean? So it kind of and that worked really well for them, because they didn't want to work full time. They were successful executives, like Corrine's ex ANZ Bank, and she didn't want to go back into corporate and work 5 days a week. She's got a family, and so 4 days a week for an exciting startup. Perfect, loved it, and she, it's huge amounts of value,
Yeah. 100%.
So, and how many of these hires are people you're bumping in, like in terms of the top, kind of the people that kind of came in early with big responsibility, whatever that is, really? Would you say a lot of that was kind of organic, like you knew them or you bumped into them, and or a lot of it was through agencies or recruitment?
We did a lot of I mean, Corinne, for example, we put the feelers out, and this is actually another hack, is a lot of exceptional people of that caliber are probably doing consulting now, right? And so we put the feelers out for consultants because we had probably the fastest growing division of our company at that time was the customer support. And so we suddenly had like all of these people, and we had one person in charge of that, but we wanted that one person we wanted to develop them, and we knew we needed somebody maybe one day a month to just come and sort of make sure that person was growing and could manage. And so we found Corrine,
Right.
She consulted one day a month, and then, saw what we were doing. It was like, wow, this is pretty cool, and so that's a great way to sort of hook people in. They can see your operation. If you're doing some cool stuff, it's a great way to sort of test each other, see if, and she was delivering and then some one day a month. And we're like, God, what if we had her, 3 days a week? Wow, that would be crazy. So that was right. Another sort of example of how that worked.
Yeah, and it was perfect for her. She loved it. 3 days a week, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
And are you doing anything?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Are you Are you doing internship stuff? Like, do you run? Yeah. Do you pull people in? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, we do. Not a really organized machine yet, but that'll come.
Right.
But yeah, that'll come. I was just going to add to like the senior leadership team and startups that are watching this. One thing that I would recommend is to really, really not underestimate the importance of your founding team to share the same values. Mm-hmm. Like John and I have worked at 4 businesses now over 21 years together. Like the amount of trust that we have between each other, that trust is so strong that, you don't have that. And I've been in situations, past companies where, that has not been there. Those companies just didn't succeed, it permeates throughout the organization. I think, it's just, it's been one of our secrets, and the team can feel it.
Yeah, and this something that's in common with a lot of great companies is the way that you got started. Just in terms of the time, the care, the bit by bit, the block by block. I was talking to a friend who's getting a business off the ground, and when it's fast, it's not as steady in a way. When it's like, hey, all right, let's do this. Yeah, let's go get some money. Let's do boom, boom. It just doesn't have the gravitas because you're kind of answering the hard questions on the fly, and you're wondering about how your answer is going to be taken, versus when you guys are doing it, you're like, no, we know this because we had the personal trainer. Like, we've been doing this for a year. Like, this is going to work. We're going to put some more money into that. We're going to put some more money into that. And it's just like, you can't just rush you can't rush your way through it.
Well, I mean, and we were so lucky that the platform was the 3rd version of the software we'd built. We'd already built 2 individual versions for Joe, and so we already knew 90% or 95% of what we wanted. A lot of the stuff we didn't know was around the platform side of things. Then we got some help around that, and so I think even our first, even our launching software was probably, I mean, I won't say, I mean, there was a lot of stuff we had to do to fix it up, but it was pretty good, because we came in with a whole bunch of experience.
Yeah, it's spending as much time as they did on real, genuine product market fit. It's a luxury in any startup world, because you've got growth metrics to hit. The early team, John, they just spent a lot of time getting that just to fit perfect. And then when I came on, it was like, I mean, they had only a handful of clients, but they were raving clients,
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, I can work with this. And I mean, I didn't want to give up my day job for a company that had 5 clients, right? So I would come in the mornings at 6 a.m. and make cold calls until 9 a.m. And 10 phone calls later, closed our first client. It's like, okay, well, that was easy. I could do that again. I mean, those first calls were shocking too. And again, advice, just make the phone call. Like, don't just make the phone call. You're gonna fuck up the first 10, but you'll find your words on those calls, and you just have to do it. And you find the words, and then and if you can't close a deal, well, I mean, don't go raise capital.
So how long were you kind of actively doing, so not just getting to know the company, but actively doing some work in the company before you just went, okay, I'm all in. This thing can feed us both. And I mean, we're talking.
Is that for John or for me?
No, for you, Ken. Before you kind of did that sort of.
I think it was. It wasn't long. I mean, it wasn't. It was until that first. I mean, it was what 3 weeks or I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a few months. Because,
yeah.
I mean, Ken was the obvious choice for the person that I wanted to work with. So I had to take a while to sort of wedge him out of his previous role, and but that whole time he was sort of coming in, irregularly. But we're just saying, hey, man, this is what we're doing. This is the plan. This is the plan. Why don't you come and work with us? Why don't you come and work? And finally, he then said, okay, I'll come in at 6 o'clock in the morning. I want to see if this is shit or not. Yeah. And he closed his first deal after about 10 phone calls. Went, well, this wasn't too bad. And then once he actually got to know the software a bit later, he goes, actually, you know what? You guys done a really good job. This is a really solid piece of software. So I think that was sort of the closing argument for him.
Later seeing the amount of data that can be pulled and then repositioned back to the trainer to give them a real edge that otherwise would be impossible is when we really started thinking, oh, this is like and against the backdrop of the entire creator economy, it's like, okay, this is actually a several $billion-dollar opportunity. Let's push all of our chips in, and that's when
yeah. So with your role, John, now, how do you see yourself in the business with Ken doing his thing that you wanted him to come in and do? How do you view yourself?
Oh, well, I like to view myself as a bit of a spare wheel. I don't have I mean, I've worked in the tech industry since the early 90s, but sales, channel management, project management, that kind of stuff, and I'm not actually. I lead the product here, but I'm not actually a product guy. I'm not a trained product manager or that kind of person. So I sort of I do that. Honestly, what I see is my role as the business is getting bigger. Obviously Ken's CEO now, which was was a position that he wanted, and it was a position I was more than happy for him to have. He's doing a way better job than I ever could, and most of the top people that are coming in are doing a better job than I could anyway. So I'm really seeing my role leading towards governance, and in the future, just sort of stepping aside and being the sort of the soul Spirit of the business, just making sure we're going in the right direction and making sure, just sort of, making sure that we don't lose what we've got, because it's pretty easy to do when everyone's going a million miles an hour.
Spare wheel sounds a lot more exciting than governance. I tried to find a nice way of talking about governance, but it's pretty unusual to, and we'll wrap up in a few minutes, but it's pretty unusual to find somebody who's created something, brought in a CEO, is facilitating, and you guys look happy as anything, and you're obviously sort of able to troubleshoot so much, and you've got that capacity and all those skill sets, John, and you're still engaged. That's a really rare phenomenon. Usually it doesn't last long, and the person who's not CEO leaves,
Yeah, well, I kind of see it as my superpower that I know that everybody's better than me. So, for me, I actually don't find it that hard, and I think for me, it's more important to be part of the journey. And I look at all the people that we bring on board, and they are awesome. They're awesome. It's just like. Okay,
I have a question. Did you ever talk about doing co-CEOs?
No, I don't think so. No. I was CEO for a long time when then Ken came on board. And then
I wasn't CEO right away.
He wasn't CEO off the bat.
No.
And I said, mate, if you want to be CEO,
it took him a while to stab you in the back. No.
Exactly.
No. Where were we?
He's got his arm behind you at the moment.
And I just said to him,
he brought it up.
Yeah, I did. I said, if you want to be CEO, be my guest. It's like, and the thing is with Ken is that, he's a business nerd, which is awesome, so what does he do on the weekend? He reads business. It's like, leaders are readers, and you follow any of the great leaders, and, you understand that they're always learning, and they're always seeking things, and that's exactly what Ken does. So he's the perfect person to lead the business, and I think I'm the perfect person to be the spirit of the business.
Hey, that's how it's worked out.
There we go. The spirit of the business. That's good. Now, the other spirit who's not with us but is still alive is the chap that I first met on Friday night, who is he trainer number one? The guy that was at the awards?
Joe. Oh, right. Yeah. That was the guy who walked into the office on day one. Yeah.
Right. I just put like that together. Yeah. So so then Ken walked over. Oh, actually, is it Joe?
Yeah, Joe. That's right, Joe. And I think his father was there.
I met Joe's dad. He got Joe, and then his dad went and got you, Ken, and then we all started talking. Yeah, so he's built a phenomenal business, and he's also a shareholder in MacroActive, and he's kind of
co-founder. He's co-founder. Yeah,
co-founder. Yeah, and he is he still involved at any in MacroActive, or he's more just running his own business?
Yes and no. I mean, he's very effective at sliding into people's DMs with a blue tick, and so he introduces us to a lot of trainers in the space, and
cool.
Right. Yeah,
but he's really good. He's incredibly busy running his own business.
Yeah, well, that's another part of the magic of MacroActive, right? It's awesome.
It is. Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, any questions before we wrap up? Any questions you got of me, or any last comments you have?
Hey, listen. Well, thank you very much for having us on the show, and go to our website or our Instagram page. Instagram.com/MacroActive is probably a better place to go than our current website. It's still a fire burning, but all joking aside, macroactive.com. And if you're a trainer or you know someone who is struggling to scale their business and really struggling to maybe keep up with demand from their business in the space, we are exceptional at automating the things that take hours in a day in this space, and allowing clients to really focus their time more on their business rather than being a hostage to it.
And probably just the one other thing is we're always looking for good people. So anybody that's interested in health and wellness and wants to work in the space for a good, up and software business, SaaS business, reach out. We're always keen.
Hiring in all departments.
Yep.
So sales.
In only Auckland, or around the world, or around the country, or?
Well, I mean, probably at the moment mainly Auckland, but also UK. And if anyone's watching, we're looking for a good reseller in Australia. We need to improve our presence in Australia. So that's another opportunity.
I feel like every request should be like worth $25, like a little classified ad. All right. Hey, thank you, John and Ken. Got your names up in lights.
Cheers.
And we will continue to enjoy the story of MacroActive and follow you. It's been brilliant. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Cheers, man.
Take care.